Hello everyone, friends. Karma of past incarnations. In my opinion, past incarnation is even more important than ancestral karma. Although both, and the other and the third, altogether everything affects a person. So the karma of past incarnations is the incarnations that the soul has gone through before it is incarnated now. There are ideas that there are old souls, there are young souls, there are such. In my worldview, I believe the most skilled individuals are the masters, the most spiritually enlightened masters. There is nowhere more spiritual than their presence. I have not witnessed more than 36 incarnations. In my opinion, 50 incarnations represent a threshold that I have not surpassed in terms of what I have witnessed. The current population of people on Earth is estimated to range from approximately 10 to 15 billion to 20 billion, taking into account multiple incarnations. And individuals who have 22, 25, 27 incarnations are already considered more or less old, yes, old people, because the main, as I already mentioned, mass, yes, is 10, 15 to 20 incarnations, which means they are relatively advanced in their cycle of rebirth compared to others. What is incarnation? This is life, a complete existence that an individual experiences. Yes, there is an embodiment where a person does not remember what was there in past lives, or rather, does not remember it as much as one would expect or anticipate. And I mean that it doesn't come together into any specific picture at all. That is, there is simply a set of certain potentials, a set of experience. The soul existing experiences life and engages in internal reflection. In my belief, ancient souls, strong souls, they always possess a remarkably interesting, remarkably correct structure that is worthy of great admiration and contemplation. Take, my friends, such an illustrative example that involves the presence of two children or two individuals in a given scenario or situation. They arrived, I have no idea, in order to secure employment or acquire knowledge. One individual selects a spatula or similar item, such as a violin or another tool, and promptly demonstrates proficiency in their chosen task, performing remarkably well from the outset. He quickly comprehends, his progress is advancing rapidly, memorization and forward movement are executed swiftly and efficiently. That is, there is a feeling as if a person is already familiar with it, as if a person knows what to do, how to do it, intuitively, independently, and vice versa. A person takes on something to do, professionals teach him for a long time. I don't know, he sits at the piano, plays chords, has been doing this for 20 years, 30 years, and can't do anything properly. That is, it doesn't work, it just doesn't work, and that's it. A person learns, continues to work hard, but it does not move forward at all. I think this is roughly how the difference between an ancient soul and a young soul is visible. A young soul doesn't know. You show it 10 times, tell it how to do it right and how it should be, and still the brain won't work. An ancient soul immediately grasps on the fly because the experience of past incarnations already has the necessary knowledge, which is much easier to activate and commence functioning. The identical can be said about the relationship with the essence of a negative system in various contracts and agreements of diverse nature and scope. The same can be said about the very magical work and understanding of energy information processes. Engaging in communication with spirits or the process of assimilation, copying various frequencies or acquiring knowledge. If these things are familiar to the soul, if the soul has already been known as a pandit, a monk, a master, then of course it will be much easier for her to remember the tools, those experiments and states that were already available to her in her previous experiences. On the other hand, if the soul experiences a third, fifth life, the process of cooking borscht carries much more weight than certain spiritual practices and their significance. A soul like this will never seek itself, will never participate in what is known as inner search, some philosophical endeavor. Everything will be straightforward in this case. Because all is already new, all is already credited, all already gives a big growth and influx of energy to programs, to the structures of the soul, leading to a profound transformation and rejuvenation of the entire system. Thus, there is no point in searching for something novel. At each moment, there is precisely what is required. Karma of past incarnations is entirely and completely your karma. This is your soul, this is your inner world. And it is with these structures and programs that you need to work in the first place. As I have already mentioned, when you start taking our courses, you will encounter a redirection of attention to yourself. This is the most basic and fundamental key. If you don't master it, all your meditation will be watching with closed eyes, leading to nothing but a waste of time. In order to truly meditate, it is necessary for you to learn how to redirect your attention in such a way that your consciousness transitions from a normal state to an altered state of consciousness. The altered state of consciousness, by the very fact of its manifestation in you, will be a kind of inaction, a kind of magical action that opens the mind and the possibility of connecting with higher supersystems, and opens the bottom, yes, and the possibility of interacting with the energies of the earth. Thus, you become a half-empty pipe, an empty bamboo that allows energy to pass through it. I refer to this state as inclusion, indeed a fundamental inclusion. Moreover, the potency of energy within this inclusion can already rely on your aptitude to manipulate energy channels. Yes, those channels to tune into, in which you can be alongside us, or which can be conveyed to you by nature. And if you have such, it will be natural for you to use these states, but for someone else it will be completely incomprehensible. What is this? When it comes to the karma of previous incarnations, it is necessary to understand that throughout different lives, you are accumulating both positive and negative aspects. So, if during the incarnation you made most of your choices to get closer to the negative system and integrate into it, you clearly began to understand the limits of the law and strive for narrowing, then, roughly speaking, life passed under the sign of minus. And subsequent forms in that location, on scales representing divinity, during your time spent in Bordeaux, there is a process of evaluating and weighing the impact of virtuous actions and malevolent actions. Yes, it appears humorous, but in reality, I have faith that an individual engaging in actions that weigh down their spirit with their own realization of their incorrectness, ultimately, as long as they possess a physical form, have the potential to bring about change. When there is no body, and there is no time, and there is already space as it is, nothing can be changed. Accordingly, indeed, this can be evaluated. There are these unfavorable possibilities. Alternatively, on the other hand, gathered, as they say, positive karma, accumulated good karma, which raises the soul, lifting it higher and higher. The soul will come to a halt in a specific vibrational series based on the vibrational background, indicating the level of existence within the Bardos worlds. This is determined by the heavy and positive vibrations. Depending on this, it signifies at what level the soul, in principle, exists in the Bardos worlds. The best description of Bardo I have seen in Tibetan Buddhism, in the book Bardo Todo, there is a complete description of the entire process after a person's death. I believe it is logical, and it would be beneficial to dedicate time to reading it and acquire valuable insights from it. Not so much to get ready for what will happen there, but to comprehend, in principle, roughly the subsequent series of events after this world ceases to unfold before us, and gain an understanding of the further developments to come. Naturally, it reflects, yes, the possibility of the soul passing in a conscious state that is entirely burgundy in color. And as you are aware, in Tibetan Buddhism there exist individuals known as tulkus, which signifies conscious rebirth. My teacher is 14 years old. I am not going to be shocked. Consequently, you comprehend the significance of this. He deliberately passed Bordeaux a total of 14 times. In other words, while dying, he stated that I will be born in Bordeaux, in that place, and I will be given this name. At the age of 5, I will remember myself. That is when you arrive, I will keep teaching you. Maybe some of the manifestations are not like that, but in a way where they encounter a child and provide him with 100 toys to select 2 or 3 from. If he chooses those same 3 toys that were his in his past incarnation, as the monks believe, he is considered a reincarnate. Anyway, he will be Tulkov because he recognized his objects, with which he had a connection in past incarnations. Friends, these are profound and serious topics. These are profound and serious states, by comprehending which, naturally, you will not be able to stay unchanged. If you come into contact with the gates of death, if you come into contact with samadhi, if you come into contact in any manner with the most profound, deep spiritual experience, you will no longer be able to live the way you lived before this transformative encounter. These things generally have a profound and enduring impact on individuals. They are significant matters, and they entail a deep internal journey of personal transformation. If such an experience occurred, I am certain that an individual would develop an interest in understanding its true nature and gaining insights into my inner world, my previous lifetimes, the nature of reality, and the events that will unfold in the future. Every self-improvement endeavor should prioritize sobriety and consciousness above all else in order to be effective. Each self-improvement work should clearly give a person an understanding that the meaning is not in those cartoons that he can watch in an altered state of consciousness. The main point is that he represents himself at this moment, the goals and objectives he sets for himself, how he moves towards achieving his goals and objectives, what his internal basis of ethics and morality is, and what he is willing to do to cross the line and achieve his desired outcomes. These questions, I believe, encompass every individual, each and every one of us. Above all, in individuals with experience, in individuals with strength, in individuals with wisdom, ethics is consistently elevated solely by virtue of its presence. A large quantity of transformations enables an individual to intuitively perceive what is favorable and what is unfavorable. Thanks to all, friends. Keep watching us. Goodbye to everyone.